Hi, everyone, and welcome to EnergyLab's 2023 Scale-Up Program Showcase. My name's Megan Fisher. I'm the CEO at EnergyLab, and I'll be your MC for today. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the various lands on which we're meeting today. I'm on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians, and I pay my respects to the elders, both past, present, and emerging, and celebrate the diversity of the Aboriginal peoples and their ongoing cultures and connections to the lands and waters. If you're new to the EnergyLab community, we absolutely welcome you. We kicked off in 2017 with the mission to help reach net zero by accelerating the growth of clean energy and climate tech startups. We connect talented founders that are addressing the global climate crisis to the mentors, advisors, partners, peers, and the investors that they need to succeed. We run a series of programs that can take founders and startups from ideation all the way through to global growth. Our programs are supported by our incredible network of over 350 mentors, 160 startup alumni, 160 angel investors, institutional investors, industry, universities, and government, a real ecosystem. Thank you for joining us. So let's kick off the Scale Up Program Showcase for 2023. Today we're using Zoom webinar. In case you're not aware, you can drag the slider located between the slides and the presenters so that the presenters are a little bit easier to see if you're finding them a little bit small. And feel free to introduce yourself in the chat tab. We'll also be using the Q&A function, which is at the bottom of your screen, to take questions during the showcase. We have a really exciting hour ahead, focusing on the leading innovations supporting the renewable energy transition. First, you'll hear from one of our industry partners about their innovation focus and their support and engagement in this program. Then you'll hear from each of the startups in the cohort. We'll share more about the technologies and how they can be used to improve grid reliability and resiliency, enhance grid flexibility, and enable the accelerated rollout of renewable energy. Now in its fourth year, the EnergyLab Scaleup Program brings together Australia's leading members of the energy industry and clean energy startups from all over the world. For our Scaleup Program partners, the program offers a supportive and structured way to investigate pilot projects with startups that align with their strategic areas of focus, and they get visibility of local and global startups with the most innovative technologies and business solutions developing in the clean energy startup space. This year, 7 companies have joined us: Endeavour Energy, Amber Electric, AEMO, Tas Networks, Aurora, PowerNet, and FRV. I'd really like to thank them for their involvement. Connecting startups and industry is a key focus for EnergyLab and an essential part of a really healthy startup ecosystem. I'd now like to welcome to the stage Leanne Pickering. Leanne is the Chief Customer Officer and Strategy Officer at Endeavour Energy, where she leads the customer experience, strategy, transformation, innovation, corporate affairs, corporate development, and growth functions. Endeavour Energy have been supporting the program for the last 3 years, and it has been an absolute pleasure working with an organisation focused on innovation as well as really dedicated to the community it operates in. So thank you very much, Leanne, for joining us today. I'll hand over to you.
Okay, thanks. And morning, everybody. And I'll pay my respects to the elders of the Darug land, of which I'm joining from today. Endeavour Energy, for those of you who don't know, goes from like Western Sydney down to the mountains, down about to Ulladulla, and out to nearly Mudgee, so over the Blue Mountains. So we really have a really big growth area that we're looking at. So Endeavour Energy is focusing on innovation that will support the transition to a decarbonised grid, support our customers to transition to more renewable energy sources. And also we've got to ensure that we maintain a safe, reliable and resilient grid, particularly on days like today. Anyone in Sydney, it's due to be 35 degrees. We've got a total extreme fire danger and total fire ban. So innovation is key to what we will be doing. We're exploring innovations in demand management, data and analytics, just to be able to better respond to the uptake in consumer energy resources. And by that, we mean the solar batteries on roofs. And then, and we're moving from this view of, distributed energy resources, which, it really is about the consumer and what they do have and how we can make use of that. And a really big showcase of what we've been doing there is we're soon turning on our first microgrid down in Borley Point, which is in the outskirts. It's a beautiful little kind of town on the outskirts of our grid, which really suffered during the bushfires of 2020. And so that microgrid is there to provide them with a more resilient and, reliable energy solution. And that has really been a community coming together and testing the technology of what can be done. We also have like an AI platform that's been launched into the organisation. We've done our first community battery, which is in Blacktown. But again, to give our customers access so that they can share in it. It's not just for network support. So that's, again, pushing the boundaries. And then we've also got better, technology in regard to communications with customers, because they want to know real time. We all know that we're living in a real time. We want to know what's going on, if there is any planned, unplanned outages. So I think, why is this important and the Energy Lab important to us, right? The grid, as we know it, the electricity grid is going to change more in the next 10 years than it has in the last century, right? And it's taken that long to build up, industrialize Australia, the world, and we need to do that quick, smart. So, we're not, there is a big challenge ahead of us, and we need kind of everyone trying to look at those solutions. So, if we're going to get to those net zero targets, we need innovation in multiple areas, including the equipment that might be used on the grid. We'll be able to help customers get there. The efficiency of the grid will increase. And then, we'll have better outcome for customers and a better outcome for all of the community and sustainability. So I think, the partnership with Energy Lab supports us in being innovative and trialing new things, trying to make us think outside the box a bit more. We know that we're a bigger utility, which, people can make their own assumptions about how quickly we move, but we need, we're trying to become more agile and a lot more innovative. And make sure that we can provide solutions for our customers today so that they're going to be better equipped to make better choices for tomorrow. So I look forward to seeing the showcase of what everyone has got for this year and to see where this can take us. So thanks, Megan.
Thank you so much, Leanne, for joining us today. And thank you again for the team at Endeavour Energy. The Scale-Up program is industry-led, so it wouldn't happen without the involvement of our industry partners. It's now with great pleasure that we introduce you to the Scale-Up program for 2023. The cohort represents a really diverse global mix of startups, from autonomous grid monitoring robots, advanced materials, to software solutions that can reduce grid bottlenecks. Those startups represent the best in innovative technologies across the energy sector. The startups are Plexigrid, AEI, Oaktree Power, Synapse, Accurassi, PowerPlay, IND.T, GridWrap, and Endeavour. And it's a really international cohort with startups from Australia, from across Europe, from the US and Canada, which is really exciting. For today's showcase, we've grouped the startups into 3 themes based on their technologies and their business models. The themes are smart grid flexibility, accelerating renewables, and grid reliability and resiliency. After we get each startup group to present, you'll have the opportunity to ask startups questions using the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. So feel free to add questions in at any time throughout the showcase, and we'll aim to get to as many as we can during the time that we've set aside after each of the themes. And if you'd like your question addressed to a particular founder or startup group, please make sure to note that in your question as well. So our first 3 startups today are rolling out solutions that can be used to enable smart grid and enhance grid flexibility. We have 3 startups joining us for this theme: Plexigrid, AEI, and Oaktree Power. First up is Linda Maria, Plexigrid's Chief Business Development Officer. Plexigrid software actively manages and reduces peak loads, benefiting customers, electricity distributors, and energy suppliers. Welcome to you, Maria. I will hand it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. So happy to be here today, dialing in all the way from Sweden and discussing these important and very urgent topics, as we already heard. And because from our perspective, if you look at the net zero trajectory or the scenarios, for example, International Energy Agency's 2050 scenario, electricity consumption will probably double at least. And of course, it means massive investment in renewable energy to fill this need. But equally important is the grid investment that follow it, which will be as much at least. And this, we're talking about billions of dollars of investments that we don't really talk about as much, at least not outside of maybe this circle where we are today. And these investments, a lot of those go directly into the distribution networks, because this is where a lot of the energy transition is really happening in people's homes. But if we just continue to reinforcing the networks in the way that we traditionally have, we're not going to it's not going to be enough anymore. We're basically not going to be on time for the transition. So we have to increase the utilization of the existing assets in a different way. So at Plexigrid, we are focused on exactly this, increasing capacity close to the end customer, so in low voltage. And we do this using software only, and then the potential of flexibility from the end customers. So getting away from this thing you see on the left and getting to the situation on the right. So first we give the operator, the network operator, insights by monitoring low voltage, primarily using smart meters. So this alone can improve the whole operational efficiency and reduce outages, improve voltage quality, etc. But then we build on top of that a layer with a digital twin where we can run network analytics based on the network model and detect bottlenecks and also find alternative solutions to solve them. And then finally, we solve the we use flexibility in the real network and activate active customers, for example, using dynamic operating envelopes, which is quite famous over in Australia. So all these pieces together is needed to reduce the investment in the network and speed up the whole integration of renewable energy. So we are a Spanish-Swedish company and have customers across Europe in multiple countries, and also had our first customer now in New Zealand. So we are absolutely entering Australia, we hope, and will be super eager to showcase our technology in a real network here and show how it can solve some of those challenges in Australia related to both capacity flexibility and capacity planning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda Maria. And a reminder to everyone to pop questions for Linda Maria into the Q&A tab. So our second presentation for today is from Devon, the co-founder and COO at AEI, Alternative Energy Innovations. AEI have developed their SmartBox technology, which allows agricultural irrigation to be integrated with energy cost dynamics, including on-site solar generation, improving the value proposition for renewables, and unlocking the ability for farms to assist the network. Hey, Devon, great to have you here. It's over to you.
Thanks, Megan, and hello to everybody. We all know energy prices are rising, and for farmers and agriculture, one of the biggest contributors to that total energy cost is water transfer and irrigation, which in some cases can be as much as 70% of their total expenses. Now, to combat these rising costs, farmers really only have two options. They can attempt to shift their irrigation to cheaper off-peak periods, but this can be time-consuming and inconvenient and adds more pressure and time stress. Or they install renewables and just assume that this will do the trick. But in reality, shifting fixed irrigation loads to the daytime can actually end up costing the farmer more. So at AEI, we've developed a behind-the-meter solution called the SmartBox, and this technology uses intelligent software and a control box to automate, optimize, and integrate irrigation processes with energy cost dynamics. So the farmer can set their irrigation requirements in advance from anywhere, anytime, and sit back as the SmartBox intelligently achieves them at the lowest possible energy cost, taking into consideration the wholesale market, the farmer's energy tariff, and any available on-site generation, finally allowing that value proposition for renewables in ag to stack up. Now, technology also has the capability to aggregate and orchestrate those energy loads. So as our portfolio grows, so will the farmer's ability to automatically participate in demand flexibility, grid services, and community energy opportunities. To provide some context to our capability, in a foundation project on an irrigated dairy where our technology was installed, accompanied by 200 kilowatts of renewables, we're able to achieve huge time savings through the automation features, extremely high solar utilisation, incredible irrigation energy cost reductions, and less than 6% of grid energy usage, significantly reducing the carbon footprint for this particular farm operation. So on this farm alone, we have 270 kilowatts of fully automated dispensable load. Now aggregate and orchestrate 1,000 or 2,000 farms this size, and you can clearly see how huge the impact both agriculture and our technology can have on the sustainability of the network. We as a company are now launching to market after validating our solution across a number of foundation customers, and we're currently raising a seed round to support this stage of our growth. So thanks for your time. If you're interested in learning more, then yeah, certainly feel free to contact us.
Thanks so much for that, Devon. Great to have you here today. And a reminder to put any questions for Devon and AEI into the Q&A tab. Questions will be coming up after our next speaker. So our final presentation for our Smart Grid Scale-Ups today is the CEO of Oaktree Power, Chantal Skeepers. Oaktree Power is interconnected flexibility marketplace bridges the gap between electrical asset owners and flexibility buyers to accelerate the energy transition by providing really crucial balancing services to ease congestion and enhance grid stability, while also generating revenues for electricity asset owners. Welcome, Chantal. I will hand over to you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Chantal, and I'm here to tell you a bit more about Oaktree Power. We're a climate technology company headquartered in London. And for the last couple of years, we've pioneered a couple of industry firsts, and we're now pooling our collective experience to really accelerate the energy transition. What we do is we do that through a novel combination of disruptive digital solutions to drive sustainability and new business models. Our solutions are designed to unlock flexibility from existing assets to benefit grid operators while creating revenue streams for industrial and commercial customers that outperform traditional flexibility markets. There we go. It's no secret that everyone knows the problem that we currently face on the energy grids is global infrastructure, or the pipes and wires, as I call it, is really old and requires significant investments. With costs running into the trillions and expansion coming at significant delays, it's really time for us to adopt non-transmission solutions, and that is where Oaktree Power comes in. Smart digital grids are the bloodline of the net zero economy, and it's available almost instantly. It unlocks significant cost savings while generating substantial social benefits at a crucial time when energy prices are skyrocketing. It's also sustainable, so for every kilowatt not used, there is no corresponding carbon footprint to offset or reduce. To cope with growing demand, we should tackle our overconsumption first, not increase generation. Our solution works quite simply through your existing energy suppliers, utilizing our clients' current infrastructure, and it's 100% cyber secure. First, First, we analyze our clients' energy profiles to determine the savings, the environmental benefits, as well as the revenue opportunities. And then we install our box, known as the Acorn. That box connects to our software platform that really removes the market complexity for our clients so they can focus on their core business. Our solution is at no upfront cost to our customers and requires no downtime. Our agreements are fully transparent and it works on a simple revenue savings model. So a bit about one of our customers. Financial Times has been operating with us for the past 18 months. The main driver for adopting our solution was cost savings as well as reducing CO2 emission. Our solution operates silently and intelligently in the background with no impact on operation. It's roughly around 1,000 hours a year with 0 complaints so far. At the moment, our client is saving around 26% of the annual electricity bill, and their CO2 savings is equivalent to 66 cars off the London roads, and that's just for one building for 1 year. The building also provides crucial flexibility services to the local grid operator to ease congestion on those really old pipes and wires. They currently have a 5-year contract and earn substantial revenues for helping our system go green. So, is that the right one? Is it moving? Yeah. So to recap, we reduce costs and save CO2. There is no upfront cost, and our clients get paid to do their part in helping our networks go green. So if you want to scan the QR code to find out more and then join our global movement. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that, Chantal. Now we're actually up to our first Q&A session for smart grid flexibility. So questions for Linda Maria from Plexigrid, Devon from AI, and Chantal that you've just heard from Oaktree Power. I am popping right now into the Q&A box for Oaktree Power. We've got a question from Drew. What does the solution do? Is it an efficiency solution or does it drive demand flexibility? And if so, how? Lots of questions there for you, Chantal.
Thank you very much. It's a combination. So first we look at the energy efficiency. So how can we reduce the overconsumption from a customer to save on costs? And then we look at where the customer is perhaps not using energy in the best possible way by applying a number of different AI solutions to really cut down their long-term energy wastage. Then we take that asset flexibility and develop programs with grid operators to really harness that flexibility, because the traditional flexibility markets are really still designed for power stations or electricity generators. And then lastly, we really combine all of that in a nice, neat sort of carbon analytical tool. So really looking at how we run the programs when the system is perhaps using more coal or more renewables to really extract that overall CO2 savings. Hopefully that answers
Great.
it.
Thanks for that, Chantal. I've got another question for you while you're there. Maybe one that we can take quickly is, what is the sharing formula from Chris?
Yep. Typically, we sign a 5-year agreement with our customers, or our large multi-site multinational portfolios is typically a 10-year agreement to tie in with the net zero goals. And it's typically a 50% straight down the middle.
Thank you very much for that. And I've actually got a question, because I know Linda Maria has just been in New Zealand and gone all the way back to Europe in the last little while. Could you tell us a little bit more about the pilot that you're working on, your first pilot in the region? Oops, and I think you're on mute.
Sorry. So thanks. Yeah, absolutely. The pilot is with Countess Energy, and they are trialing dynamic operating envelopes, but not applied to solar export as usual in Australia, but to EV charging, because they have more of a load problem. So they want to publish the 24-hour envelopes and then they have an aggregator who will control the chargers to reduce the load at peak hours. So we will do the calculation and publishing of the envelopes.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. And one for you, Devon. Are there particular crops or applications you are focusing on in terms of understanding irrigation needs?
Yeah, initially it's those that have got the larger irrigation loads. So the dairy industry and the cotton industry are two that we're working with at the moment. And then also we happen to be located in Gippsland, so we're surrounded by the dairy industry, which gives us a good leg up in terms of trying to acquire customers locally. So yeah, they're probably the two that we're validating, but typically it's those that have got the larger, more flexible loads, and obviously irrigation being often non-essential can be shifted with the technology. Both can be turned off based on the grid requirements, but can also be brought forward. So both ways.
Fantastic. And while I've got you there, Devon, we've got another question for you. Love the solution from Francis. How many electrified farms are there that can benefit from this? And what is solar electrification adoption trajectory looking like for your customers?
Yeah, so just some general market numbers in Australia. There's around 20,000 irrigated agriculture farms, and similar numbers in New Zealand. So the market is definitely available, even based off the 1,000 or 2,000 customers that we're trying to achieve. And as farm electrification occurs, there's obviously a push to transition away from diesel to that electrification. Then obviously the technology will change as electric farm vehicles, etc., become more common in the ag sector. We'll obviously be able to utilize the technology to also maximize the use of the renewables on site. And the value proposition in ag just hasn't stacked up for renewables, because purely shifting that fixed irrigation load to the middle of the day without control exposes the farmer to peak periods when the solar generation drops off. So the uptake of renewables in ag has been a little slower than other industries, but with smarter control, that will definitely, we see that speeding up. So first step is to add the tech, and then that way you're solar ready when you're ready to install your renewables.
Perfect. Thank you so much to Devon, Chantal and Linda Maria for their question answering today. If you asked a question that wasn't answered, they'll certainly have a look in the Q&A tab and just answer them directly in there. So please continue asking questions for the next session. So moving on to our second session, these three startups represent software-centric solutions that are helping to empower large-scale renewable developments, accelerate solar installations, and increase renewable utilisation, all really important things. First up, we have Energy Synapse. Energy Synapse market intelligence software helps industry developers and investors understand electricity markets and find the most valuable spots in the grid to install renewable generation and storage technology. So Maria Petkovic, the founder and director of Energy Synapse, is joining us today from the US, where she's doing a very exciting tour. Over to you, Maria. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me today. So Energy Synapse is on a mission to empower the absolutely enormous investment we need to see in large-scale renewables. And it's not just about replacing the retiring coal and gas in the system. It's also about making sure that we've got enough generation to meet all the new load growth that we'll get from electrification and green hydrogen as well. Now, some of you on the call might know us from the modelling and advisory work that we've been doing over the last 7 years. But what we noticed through working very closely, particularly with our developer clients, is that they had a number of common challenges when it came to understanding the opportunities in the grid and the energy market. And we really wanted to create a scalable solution that can address that problem that our customers were seeing. And that's what I'll be talking to you about today. So just a bit of context, as I'm sure everyone on this call is aware, the electricity system is going through the biggest transformation in its history. The world needs to invest about 6 trillion per annum to complete the transition. So it's an enormous sum of money, and the addressable market for data and analytics is about a $50 billion opportunity. So really massive market here that we're talking about. So just to make it quite clear, the problem that we're addressing, it's really in two parts. So firstly, wholesale electricity markets are incredibly complex, and to really fully understand the risks and opportunities in this space, energy companies need to pull data from thousands of different sources to get the complete picture. And then the second part of the problem is that returns from large-scale clean energy assets can be extremely variable. So I've got a little chart here on the right which shows you the revenue in dollars per megawatt of most major wind farms in Australia's national electricity market. And you can see that the difference between the best performing assets and the worst performing assets, I mean, some of these wind farms are earning about 3 times as much revenue as others. So when you consider that these assets cost hundreds of millions of dollars, it's really important to get this right. And it's not just about understanding, you know, where is the wind the strongest or where is the solar the strongest. You really need to understand the grid dynamics. So a typical example, if you're in an area that's very heavily constrained, then being in that great resource area isn't going to help you if you're going to lose half of your output due to grid issues. So on the left there, I've got some of the many factors that we take into account in our one-stop shop for market intelligence for developers. And we're very lucky to be working with an extraordinary set of clients here. So some of the biggest players in this space, Tilt Renewables, Pack Hydro, Arc Energy, EDF, a whole bunch more. And the next step for us is to go into the US market. Thank you very much. Look forward to your questions and feel free to find me on LinkedIn as well.
Thank you so much for that, Maria. That was an excellent overview and very well done. Our next speaker is Ross Sharman from Accurassi, who provides solar lead generation software for energy retailers to identify, qualify, and engage prospective customers. Great to have you here, Ross. Over to you.
Thanks, Megan. Energy retailers are rapidly pivoting their business model from wholesale fossil fuels to distributed renewables, and this is underpinned by solar and batteries. However, the solar industry today is very fragmented and somewhat mistrusted. As a result, sales cycles are too long, often taking a year to complete. To efficiently add more solar and battery to their generation portfolios, these retailers need strong lead generation tools to identify, qualify, and engage with existing and potentially new customers. Accurassi Solar Seeker tool uses AI and customer energy data to rapidly model a prospective solar system. We believe this is the world's fastest solar assessment. A retailer can use this tool on their existing customer base to pre-qualify good solar prospects by using the energy data they already have. They can then reach out and engage with that prospect. This initial engagement process just takes a few seconds. It shows the home or business owner a view of their property with solar panels and how much money could be saved. This process creates a much higher level of engagement early in the sales cycle. As such, the retailer has a high chance of converting the sale. The process also creates more transparency and trust with the end customer. Accurassi provides this technology as a white label for quick integration of our pilots. We also provide APIs for deeper integration. Accurassi has built the only independent AI solar evaluation tool in the market. It's the only one which integrates energy bill data at the start to drive the assessment, and is also flexible enough for a retailer to perform lead discovery en masse. Right now, we're commercially engaged with leading energy retailers and large solar installers. Through some key partnerships, we now have opportunities opening up in the UK, Europe, and the United States. So if you're an energy retailer, a government, a financier, or even a distributor that wants to qualify solar or battery potential in buildings, or you want to engage with prospective customers, then please connect with me, Ross Sharman, on LinkedIn, and we can set up a time to chat. Thank you.
Thanks so much for that, Ross. That was really great. If you'd like to ask Ross any questions, please put them in the Q&A. If we don't get to the questions in part of question time, the founders will answer them. We'll also hang around a bit at the end of the webinar to cover off any questions that we don't get to. So please ask away. Our final speaker for this group is Aaron Hilton, PowerPlay's founder and CEO. PowerPlay offers an off-the-shelf gamified demand optimization platform and helps distributors and retailers to address the challenges they are facing during the energy transition. Welcome, Aaron. It's all yours.
Thanks, guys. Thanks everyone for coming along today. PowerPlay as a project is focused on some of the challenges facing energy transition. The main one being the mismatch between renewable energy generation, which primarily occurs during the day, and the evening peak demand. This is causing significant price volatility, which is really challenging for retailers and leads to high prices for consumers. At the same time, networks are experiencing challenges around solar generation, hitting the grid without sufficient demand locally, which is causing to curtailment and switching off of those solar systems. And we don't want that. We want more renewable energy generation. The other challenge we're looking at is the dynamic nature of energy transition. It's very hard to match that dynamic nature with traditional tariff models. So demand management is recognized as a solution, but isn't really delivering the required impact. A great retailer, Amber, is taking on the challenge, but the high market prices can be challenging for some consumers. Another model that is driving quite a lot of engagement is the Origin kind of spike hours. For example, they would say turn things off at 6 p.m. on a Wednesday. We don't think that's delivering enough demand to the daytime when we need it, because there's a good chance a lot of that load will be switched on after the event is finished. So we believe we need a new way to shift discretionary energy usage from the evening to the daytime. Our model is essentially gamified demand optimization as a service to retailers and DNSPs. We offer a versatile and customizable point system that rewards better energy usage habits, and it offers an ongoing incentive rather than just turn things off at X time. And that incentive is also dynamic, so it can meet the dynamic nature of renewable energy transition. We use smart scheduling, which makes it easier for a consumer to benefit, notifications as a way to drive engagement, improve awareness, and it's very easy for us to integrate different hardware like EVs and different controller devices. We also use a news feed as a way to raise energy awareness, because we've identified that's a really important issue as well. Rewards are a way for consumers to benefit and to cash out and to, think Uber vouchers, Woolworths vouchers, discounts and cashbacks. And then also gamification as a way to make it a bit more fun and engaging. We can track streaks, rank, recognition, and rewards. So a consumer can save hundreds of dollars and use the same amount of energy with our model. We can also engage renters and apartments dwellers in energy transition, whereas largely they've neglected, with the primary focus being on homeowners with solar. Networks can significantly extend infrastructure life in areas that are constrained. Retailers can improve their profitability on energy sales while retaining customers longer. Every kilowatt hour shifted from the evening to the daytime delivers a significant carbon benefit. Many regions around the world are experiencing the same challenges as we are in Australia. We're currently raising $250K to continue our product development while we deliver trials locally. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Aaron, for that. We are now back to question time. We've got a few questions in there. There's lots of questions I can see there around what's your competitive point of difference. Rather than asking each of the startups that as we go through now, I'll leave them each to answer that in the chat as we run through the sessions, if that's okay. And I might stick to the more technical questions where we have them. So my first question here is for Ross. Oh, that was actually about competitors, forgive me. So my first question is for Maria. One of the big issues in grid connections at the moment is objections from locals, usually rural landowners of various descriptions. How can your customers use your platform to help identify connection spots with lower stakeholder risk? Really interesting question, Alexander. Over to you, Maria.
Yeah, so the system itself isn't really about that community engagement piece. It's more about understanding, from a grid perspective, where is there actually capacity in the grid? Where aren't you going to be constrained? What do the losses look like? What does energy pricing look like? But I mean, of course, we always encourage our clients to engage as early as they can with the local community when they are developing these projects. And there's really I don't think there's really a substitute to actually, getting your feet in the water and really, engaging with that community directly as soon as possible.
Fantastic. Thanks, Maria. One for you, Ross, from Ed. Are you looking at option assessment of behind the meter demand side options like home electrification and energy upgrades, or just solar at this stage?
It's predominantly solar, because solar is kind of leading the event for the opportunity for batteries. So we do have an offering coming into market soon that is a solar and battery package. And I expect the other stuff will follow, but yes, it's very much a solar-led conversation.
Great, thank you very much for that, Ross. And one for you, Aaron, from Mitra. For what evidence have you got that consumers will engage with this long term? Raising the understanding that consumers engage for a bit of time, as they have with other energy efficiency apps, and then lose interest. So what are you doing differently, Aaron?
Yeah, look, it's a great question. Well, we've got a number of ways to drive engagement. Our model provides an ongoing incentive. So if they, change in their awareness to start using more energy during the day, then they can kind of benefit without a great deal of engagement. And then the point store can be dynamic, the news feed can be dynamic, the notifications, can be ever changing. So there's a number of ways to kind of get customers back onto the platform. And there's a lot of benefit that they can attain as well. So that obviously the financial benefit of engaging in demand optimization is a big driver as well.
Thank you for that, Aaron. I think the gamified nature is the important bit. Otherwise, I agree. If people are just looking at their energy usage, which stays the same mostly, it can be a bit of a something that people definitely lose interest with. I've got a question for Ross. What is the extent of the API integrations that you've developed?
So we've got there's two main parts to it. One is effectively a solar assessment that looks at a visual representation of the roof and works out where it can put the panels. The second part is a modeling part of that, which then can build multiple scenarios. So if they can put a 6 kilowatt system on, 9 kilowatt system, a 12 kilowatt system, it gives flexibility to the partner to be able to model those in their own environment with their own pricing. But we can get people up and running with the APIs in a couple of days.
Thank you very much. And Maria, last one from you. You're over in the US looking at an US expansion. How are your plans and intentions going over there?
Yes, a great question. Over the past week, we've been exhibiting at RE+, which is the biggest clean energy event in North America. About 40,000 people came to that. And it was really encouraging to see that the positive response that people had to our solution. I mean, they're really, developers in that market are having the exact same challenges that they're having here in Australia, understanding the grid, understanding the energy market, trying to pull together those thousands of different data sources and make it all make sense. So they were really impressed with what we're doing. So we're really excited to be launching there early next year.
Fabulous. Thank you for that update, Maria. Thank you, Maria, Aaron, and Ross for the questions. Again, the founders will all pop into the Q&A chat and complete some of the questions that we didn't quite get to in our speedy time allocated. Thank you very much. On to our third group now, grid reliability and resiliency. So first up, we have Alan, who is the founder and CEO of IND.T. They've developed smart sensors that can be rolled out across the electricity network, detecting emerging faults before they become a bigger issue. Really top of mind even today with the huge day that's going on in New South Wales. So over to you, Alan. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Megan. Hi, everyone. I'm Alan Wong. I'm the CEO and founder of IND Technology. We are a Melbourne-based IoT company specializing in predictive maintenance technology that we use to improve power line safety and reliability. We are currently working with some of the largest utility companies and asset owners across the world. So to date, the EFD product, we have accumulated more than 500 plus use cases. And over the past 3 years, we have experiencing more than 100% year-on-year growth, which is a really exciting journey for us. And the technology is proven and scalable. On this slide, you are looking at some of the use cases from insulator tracking to the cross arm to conductor damage due to conductor slab vegetation touching the power line, and and broken conductor strand due to aging and so on. So the technology is a bit like smoke alarm. It can detect things before it happened, and we can pinpoint it. So on the next slide, I just want to show you that in all the cases that we found that all these are common threats, whether it is customers in the North America market or in Australia or in Asia. They are common, they are risk to the public and reliability, and we can detect them and locate them remotely down to an accuracy of ±10 meters. All these risks are found before the actual power outage or down conductor event is realized. And, all these problems are fixed before we see a catastrophic event such as outage or, a potential wildfire started by a down conductor. Currently, we are working with across many markets, whether it's the wildfire mitigation market, reliability market, and we work with more than 25 plus utility companies in the East Coast, West Coast of the US, in Canada, in Australia. And yeah, if you are interested, please speak to us. We want to make the power line safe, less wildfire, less CO2 emission, less injury, and less death using smart technology. Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you very much for joining us today, Alan. So if you've got any questions for Alan and IND.T, please add them into the Q&A tab. Next, we have Dawood Zamani, who's GridWrap's founder and CEO. Dawood's joining us from the US. Hi, Dawood. GridWrap has developed advanced composite materials with strengthened power lines and poles, increasing network capacity by up to 2 times and improving asset structural integrity. It's really great to have you here today, Dawood. Over to you.
Thanks, Megan, for introduction. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. As Megan mentioned, I am Dawood, CEO and co-founder of GridWrap. We are based in San Diego, California, and honored to be here presenting our breakthrough technologies. At GridWrap, we are empowering the grid through advanced composite material and solutions. Today, the aging of grid infrastructure, reliability and resiliency, and increasing the penetration of renewable energies are 3 competing objectives for utilities. To overcome of these challenges, we need to build around 10 million miles of a new grid lines, which is almost doubling the existing grid infrastructure. At GridWrap, to increase power capacity and improve the resiliency of the grid, we have developed composite wire wrap and pole wrap technologies. These are no downtime, fast, and low-cost grid enhancing solutions. Pole wrap in the left is to retrofit utility poles, and composite wire wrap in the right is for grid lines. Pole wrap restores and increases the structural integrity of the utility poles through our patented composite wrapping. Pole wrap is a safe and reliable solution to retrofit utility poles, extend their lifespan up to 25 years, and improve their resiliency with no downtime. Our composite wire wrap in the right is lightweight, high-strength composite reinforcement system, which will be installed by robots around grid lines and enhanced and cured in place. We are doubling the power capacity with 1/10 of the cost and very fast solution compared to existing solutions. Our competitive advantage of our technologies are basically based on 3 things: no downtime, low cost, and very fast grid enhancing solutions. Our patented composite wire wrap and pole wrap technologies doubling the power capacity with no downtime. We are restoring original integrated poles and cables at a low cost. We have filed around 3 US patents. We have received around $1 million grant, and we have secured a $100K paid pilot with utilities in Europe. And we are closing right now 2nd and 3rd paid pilot with the other utilities in US and Europe. And we are looking for a strategic partnership with utilities and investors to launch our products and performing further pilot demonstrations. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much for that, Dawood. Appreciate that. And again, questions into the tab. Our final speaker for today is Anson Maitland, Enerza's CTO. Anson will be telling us about Enerza's autonomous on-wire robots, which crawl the grid, inspecting assets and monitoring vegetation encroachment, using advanced AI for predictive analytics. Welcome to you, Anson. All yours.
Thanks so much, Megan. Yeah, as the final presenter, I'll keep it short and sweet. So at Enerza, we're developing an army of autonomous robots to monitor our power lines. The distribution grid is a key piece of infrastructure that has traditionally been neglected as compared to generation and storage solutions. And electrical distributors are facing a number of compounding simultaneous crises, such as more severe weather events, aging assets, rapidly increasing demand, and distributed energy penetration. Utilities are looking for solutions that help them keep an eye on the thousands of kilometers of lines that they're responsible for. And the answer is an autonomous on-wire robot that can traverse thousands of kilometers per year and monitor them with a granular degree of inspection. By collecting imagery in various spectrums from a wire's eye view, we can accurately determine qualities such as vegetation encroachment, line sag, and asset health, which ultimately leads to better predictive power and improved grid resiliency. So we're running demonstration projects here in Canada and the Americas with about $5.5 million Australian in LOIs and a further 14 million in negotiation. We're seeking utility partners from all around the world who are interested in providing opportunities to pilot our technology, as well as hardware-focused or utility-focused investors that see the opportunity that we see. And with that said, so if you would like to join us in our journey and see the opportunity that we see, please reach out to me at Energy.io, and just think of me as the funny beetle robot guy for power lines.
I love that, Anson. That's cool. And I like Arthur. I like what you've called your robot. That was super clever. It's great to have you joining us. Thank you very much. Okay, it's time for Q&A for the grid reliability and resiliency startup. So we've got Anson, Dawood, and Alan joining us for those questions. So Alan, I've already got a question for you in the chat. Please add them in. I think there'll be lots of questions after seeing what we just saw from you all. So for Alan, I'm invested in a similar product in water, and the question is, due to the amount of sensors involved, what is your anticipated cost per fix? Okay, does it take, I think they're giving examples, like how in terms of utilization and value for money, I think the question really is there. Thank you.
Yes, thanks. So you need one sensor every 5 up to 10 kilometers, depending on the rated voltage. For transmission line, it can go as far as 10 kilometers. So it is a low-cost solution. And yeah, usually across a 5 kilometers path, we will find multiple fault. Almost every 2-3 months, there will be a new one pops up. So the system pays itself off, after you found 1 or 2, basically.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that, Alan. And Anson, one for you from Matt Smith. For Anson, are there any aspects of privacy regulations that affect your ability to operate in different countries? Thinking the fact that robots are taking pictures.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. So there's 2 aspects to that. One is, the first use case for a device like this is in hard to reach terrain, typically away from people's backyards. And then the other aspect is the data that we're collecting is within just a few meters of the line, precisely because that's where people are concerned with things like fallen risk, and they're concerned with the asset mounted the pole mounted assets and their resiliency. So we don't have an interest in looking particularly far away, partly because we're focused on what's directly around the wire.
Thank you. And another one for you, Anson, while we've got you. Similar question, I think, to what went to Alan, the cost of the robot for each problem you find, or some sort of cost metrics for what you're doing.
Yeah, so we're looking at a model that's based on the number of kilometers inspected. So to begin with, we want to provide essentially inspection as a service, for which we would be using robots. So typical inspection costs here in North America are around $500 per kilometer, say, per managed kilometer per year. So we would be priced, a bit below that essentially. That would be our go-to-market strategy at this stage.
Perfect, thank you. And a question for Davude. 2 times power capacity in addition is a lot, particularly when we're trying to get more renewables onto the grid. How do you do that?
For this technology, we have our composite wire wrap that we are strengthening grid lines. One of the major reasons that we are able to increase the power capacity on the line and running so much current is the thermal sagging. And by reinforcing around existing grid infrastructure cables, we are able to reduce the sagging, control the sagging, and we can reduce 75% this thermal sagging that we can run so much current and double the power capacity.
Perfect, thanks, Davude. And last question for you as well from David Roche. How far have you progressed in piloting and demonstrating your tech?
We are working right now with a couple of utilities in US and Europe for our pole wrap technology. We are performing pilot demonstrations, and for our composite wire wrap for the robotic for this cable one, we are working with EPRI. We are de-risking the technology at this moment, but we have a couple of utility partners that they are willing to deploy as soon as we de-risk the technology at EPRI.
Thank you. That is the final Q&A session. Thank you very much, Anson, Davude, and Alan, for those. Again, for questions that we didn't quite get to, each of the founders are working through those right now, so check for your answers in the Q&A tab down the bottom. That was a whirlwind of leading tech and lots of interesting business models in the energy industry from across the globe, and a really fantastic introduction to the startups in the program this year. It's certainly been an intense 6 months for us and the startups. Over the course of the program, we facilitated 25 mentor introductions, pitch days with 10 climate funds, case study presentations with all of our industry partners, peer-to-peer support sessions, pitch training, AMA sessions with our industry partners, speed networking events, and initiated 34 discussions between industry partners and startups. And they're just the ones that we've tracked. There's been a lot more discussions than that happening. This program wouldn't be what it is without our industry partners, the mentors and the investors that we have. These are some of the amazing speakers and guests that we've had the pleasure of working with during our program this year. Their insights have been truly invaluable, so thank you. EnergyLab, we've got a mentor network of over 350 industry and startup experts. And thank you to all of the mentors that work with the startups during this year's program, providing really great insights and value to the startup cohort. Your time is so appreciated. And a big thank you to the industry partners who make this program possible. While today marks the formal end of this program, for our partners and the cohort, the work certainly doesn't stop there as they continue to develop the commercial opportunities that they've all worked on and uncovered during the program. We're always on the lookout for new industry partners, for mentors and investors to engage with the startup ecosystem. So do get in touch to find out more. Or if you want to get in touch with any of the startups you've seen today, feel free to reach out with us and we can create that connection for you. Thank you to the startup cohort for joining us today. A huge thank you to Leanne Pickering from Endeavour Energy for her insights as well. Tim Bray, our Scale-Up Program Manager, and the EnergyLab team for delivering such an amazing program. We are always inspired by the groundbreaking nature of the technologies and the business models and the absolute audacity of the founders that we work with to be trying to solve the problems they're trying to solve. Each of these solutions has its own opportunity to really participate in helping us as an economy, as a world, reach net zero, solutions that are needed now more than ever. So that's a wrap. Thank you all for joining us today. For people that want to stay around and ask any more questions of the startups, we'll hang around for a little bit longer so that we can go through those for you. Thank you very much.